Matt Kluche here, social work student. Um, yeah, in my eco map, I think something that I would definitely want to see change is just me giving more energy to other people. I've had many mentors in my life, and specifically on my eco map, I do mention and show one of my mentors and how much energy he puts into me, and I think as I'm getting older and whatnot, I think it's important to put energy into other people, specifically the younger generation. So that's one thing that I would love to see change is just finding more of the younger generation to put my energy towards and just help out for sure. What are slash were the relationships like in your family? It was no surprise to me when I was doing my genogram. Our family isn't the closest. There is a whole bunch of splits and whatnot of me not knowing a certain side or me not knowing my siblings, but certain members of my family know my siblings and they're very close with them. So, the relationship is quite different, but at the same time, it's not. Families, they all have their history, they all have different ways they work together or work without each other, and so it's no surprise, just having that barrier between relationships. But I'm close with certain members of my family and not close with other members, and that's something that can be worked on, but definitely didn't surprise me. What are patterns in your family that are repeated with the generation? I think it's just not knowing each other. We have such a big family, and there's so many people in the family that are cousins or second cousins, and we've never actually met each other, or we're not close at all. And I think that clearly repeats itself. Like, I have second cousins as well as nieces and nephews that I've never met, and that was the same for me. Growing up, and same for my mom. I have uncles that I've never met that I showed on the genogram, and we went back more generations, my mom had the same thing. She didn't know uncles, aunts, and I think that's just a common repetitive thing that happens is just the generations not knowing each other and never meeting each other. So yeah, I think that was definitely a repeating factor throughout the generations. How do you think that your beliefs and values have influenced by your family history? I think one thing that's just like a value that's been super implemented from generation to generation is just like the love you set upon your kids, and like the aunts and uncles that I do know, they just love on their kids and they're so supportive of them. And my mom has been the same way, and I know her parents were that way, and my grandparents were the same way with my mom and my uncle and my aunt. And so I think that's just really important moral is that they put all the focus on their kids, and some of the other family members they could put to the side because they want to be so focused and so loving on their kids. And so that's definitely a moral that has generally occurred throughout the generations. And some could look at it as not the best thing, and others would agree with it. You want to put your kids first and just focus on them wholeheartedly, and others would say you need to make time for yourself. But all my family members, they would sacrifice anything for their kids, and they've done that their entire life. So yeah. What impact has doing this assignment on your personal genogram had on you in this moment? It was definitely unique. Like, I've never got down to the nitty gritty of my family, and especially when showing the different relations and whatnot between family members. And honestly, it made me quite sad just seeing how much of us aren't close, have never met, or the broken relationships. And yeah, so it definitely had an impact on me this week while I was getting it done. It's just like a little bit confusing, like, oh man, like, why don't we know each other? Why don't we have that connection? But yeah. And difficulties, as shown in the genogram, I don't know my dad at all. I don't know his side of the family, so that's always difficult. It's just doing things like this, just a reminder that didn't have my blood father growing up, and didn't have any input from his side of the family. So it's always a tough one. I think being a social worker and just looking at the genogram as a whole, it's just really important because you can think you know someone from their outer appearance, and you think you can know a lot of things about them and their way of life, but until you look at a genogram, genograms don't hide a lot, especially the genograms and eco maps. They definitely pull the blanket over. They definitely show a lot. They don't hide anything, and I think that's important just to understand, especially when dealing with clients, that there might be touchy subjects when everything is uncovered and it's in the open. So yeah, but it's definitely had an impact and reminded me, take my time with patients as well as myself. It's a touchy subject, families, and just to be aware of the different situations and the different dynamics of a family. So yeah, for sure.